Hello, and welcome to Math with Usna. In this lesson, we are going to talk about angles. So we'll talk about how to name angles using the proper notation and the different types of angles we can have. First of all, what is an angle? Well, an angle is made by taking two rays that have the same endpoint, but nothing else in common. So they've got the same endpoint, but they don't have anything else in common. This is an angle. The sides of an angle are the rays that made it. The vertex is the end point that they have in common. So this is the vertex. We can have four types of angles. First one is an acute angle if the measure is less than 90 degrees. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is between 90 and 180 degrees. And a straight angle is exactly 180 degrees. So when I'm looking at angles, one of the really important things to note in geometry is that you don't want to go off what it looks like. This angle looks like it's more than 90 degrees. So I would classify it as obtuse if I was just going off what it looks like. But in geometry, you're not allowed to do that. You have to go off the information that's given to you, even if it doesn't look like it should work. So if I told you that this angle was 30 degrees, you would classify it as acute, even though it doesn't look like it. Geometry, the only thing that you can assume is that if a line looks straight, it's straight. And that's one of the only things that you can assume in geometry. Let's talk about how to name an angle. So you want to imagine that you're tracing this angle. So I can start with L, right? And then I can go down to D, which is the vertex, and then over to H. So L, D, H. So I'm going to put my little notation there, L, D, H. Sometimes you'll see an angle notation with a line through it. That's totally fine. It's not the way I write it, but it's okay. You could also go in the opposite direction. So I could start with H and then go to D and then go to L. So that's another way of writing it. A third way of writing it is to use this number. Now this number does not have a degree symbol next to it, which means it's not the angle measure. It's another way to name the angle. So if I don't have that degree symbol, then you can name the angle using that number. So I could just say angle 3. And the last way to name an angle, which can only be used in special cases, is to use just the vertex. So I would say angle D. Now, the only time you're allowed to do that where you use the vertex is if there are no other angles at that vertex. So if I had another ray coming out there, I have 1, 2, 3 angles at that point D. So if I had said angle D, now you're not being clear. Are you talking about this angle? Are you talking about this angle? Or are you talking about this angle? So the only time you can use a single letter or the vertex is if there are no other angles at that vertex. Now the sides are DL, and remember they're rays, and DH, and my vertex, we already said it, is D. What type of angle is angle B if the measure of angle B equals 75 degrees? Now remember the difference between AB, what the line above it, and AB without, right? This is the name, and this is the length. Angles do it a little bit differently. Angle B without the M in front of it is the name, and if I put a little M in front of it, now I'm talking about the measure in degrees. So the measure of angle B equals 75 degrees. Well, since that's less than 90, that would be an acute angle. Okay, what type of angle is F? Now this little box here is the thing that's going to give it away. Anytime you see a box like that at a vertex, that means that the angle is 90 degrees. So that means angle F has to be a right angle. If you learned something, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.